Eoin insisted that we start off with the Telegraph this morning, and England's close shave is how they're couching this one. Had a pretty brilliant shot yesterday. Jason Roy avoids a delivery and loses a shoe at the exact same time as Roy joins Night Watchman Leach in partnership that could save the hosts from Ireland humiliation, as the Telegraph has it. We'll see, Telegraph, we will see.
It is humiliation for them, absolute, and that will make it all the more special, and hopefully it does happen. On the green is the headline on the back page of the Irish Daily Mail. Open success paves way for Ryder's return. That's with regards to Ireland's riding the crest of the Open to host the Ryder Cup for the first time in 20 years. It's Adair Manor, and it's Adair's Manor as Ireland set up Lord's Shock. So that's Mark Adair after bowling a wicket at Lord's yesterday. And Lowry lined up for Croker Acclaim at semi-final. So Shane Lowry is going to parade the Claret Jug at Croke Park tomorrow. We're up to 60,000 are due to attend the match between Kilkenny and Limerick.
He wanted to do it for the, I think it was wanted that he would do it for the All-Ireland final, and the Offaly Jubilee team, I think from 94, whatever it would have been, were to be it, but it's clashing with the schedule. So this time he's not willing to say, listen, screw it, I'll just do it anyway. Kylie keeps the faith for Limerick's duel with Cats is one of the main stories in the back page of the Irish Independent this morning. He's named the same team for the Ireland semi-final. A brilliant picture there as well, as is the case on a number of the back pages today of Rasidat Adeleke, who blitzed rivals to claim her second gold medal at the European Youth Olympics, and more details on that inside. And Spurs starlet Parrott primed to take flight for McCarthy, writes Don McDonald as well. If he's playing in the first game of the season, says Mick McCarthy, if he is starting and playing for Spurs, he'll have to be a shoe-in for the squad. I felt there was a lot of pointedness about the if from Mick McCarthy there. It was an easy way out for him.
He started both of their pre-season games. I
think Mick was kind of saying that, like, it's grand to start a pre-season game and that's fine, but if he starts playing these other games, like, of course I'd have to play him. I think he doubts that he will be playing those games.
Well, it's not like Spurs have been, I know they've only played 2 matches I think in pre-season. Yeah. It's not like they've been playing Troy Parrott and the rest of the kids in every single game. They've been strong teams. Parrott's been about 2 or 3 of the new faces, I want to say. He's obviously not a new face to any Irish football fans, but to football fans outside of Ireland, 2 or 3 new faces. He's been one of them. So he's right at the top of the queue for somebody who's going to make a breakthrough into the Spurs team. It's incredibly hopeful that this guy is actually going to become a Premier League substitute for a lot of games. By a lot of games, I mean a dozen plus this season. That would be my hope, that he makes the bench for about 12 games this Premier League season, which would be absolutely fantastic. You mentioned Rashida Adeleke as well, winning her second gold medal there last night. Athletics Ireland actually had video up on their Twitter account yesterday of her winning gold in the 200 metres. This is the 100 metres, sorry. This was a couple of nights ago. We'll play the 200 metres very shortly indeed. She crushes the field in both of these races. Here she is out in front. You'll get a better picture now once they come down the last 20 metres or so. That one was a bit closer. Now we have the 200 metres here as well. By all accounts, it was very dominant from this camera angle. It's kind of hard to make out, but you play it anyway. You can also hear kind of, it's clearly an empty stadium largely, but there's a good bit of support for Adeleke from the Irish cohort who did travel over. Coming down the home stretch here. She's absolutely incredible. She sits her leaving cert next summer. Still 16 years of age, born in Dublin 2002 to Nigerian parents. There she is, you can see a couple of yards on the field there. So last year she would have really come into our view in Győr in Hungary. That was the European Under-18 Championships when she won gold in the 200 and that one as well. So an unbelievable talent, and like she was speaking in the aftermath and she said it was a very late decision to actually run both events.
Oh really?
Say, I'm going to do the 100 and the 200. Not a bad call in hindsight. So that was at the European Youth Olympics, happens every second year. It's absolutely unbelievable. She is one of the best talents we have in Irish sport at the moment at an underage level, so hugely encouraging times. So
don't get overly excited about it.
Don't overly excited.
That is the message across the board today, whether it's football or athletics. I did enjoy the fact that one of her team at the end there was right down by the track with the tricolour ready to go. Like there was an absolute expectation that this is going to happen. You know what I mean? Like it's the Shane Lowry to his wife. Listen, just make sure that the wee girl is there at the end. Like no matter what happens, it's just make sure the tricolour is there at the end. We don't know.
She has 6 championship medals in sprinting over the last 3 summers. For Ireland to have 6 championship medals in sprinting over any period of time is good, let alone one individual. So things are encouraging. But of course, with any underage athlete, you don't want to put too much pressure on them. The Irish Examiner this morning leads with "To the Manor Born, JP's Adair masterpiece confirmed as 2026 Ryder Cup venue." Bridging the gap, John Kiley isn't overthinking Limerick's layoff since Munster final, while Paul Rouse is writing about Offaly people and their pride in Shane Lowry. Troy the boy, meanwhile, Mick McCarthy says, "I'd like to see him playing in September." And frantic finish, Ireland still harbour hopes of shock result at Lords. Should mention as well that Derek McGrath is writing in today's Irish Examiner with a nod to Cruyff, how the greats have made total hurling a reality.
The Irish Daily Star this morning will give him a Troy. Troy Parrott. Mick promises Parrott a place in the next squad. That's the line that's doing the rounds this morning. Harry Maguire, also out here, Manchester United, may have to meet the full asking price for Harry Maguire after Eric Bailly suffered a knee injury. And Lopez gives Hoops vital Europa edge. That was Rovers' 2-1 win lead that they took over Apollon Limassol in Tala last night. Roberto Lopez with the goal there.
Yeah, and he's on the back page of the Sun as well. We've got Hi Lopes, Hi Lopez. Roberto sets up a Cyprus thrill. Mick to give him a Troy as well, says the Sun. Our mark of quality, meanwhile, that's Mark Adair. And JP Ryder Cup joy, that's the story that Adair Manor is hosting the 2026 Ryder Cup.
The Irish Daily Mirror, meanwhile, sign him quick. Ole desperate for United to land £80 million Maguire after Bailly knee injury. The same story there again. Boost for Troy story. Is the other line from Paul O'Hare there, and obviously reflections as well from Lords yesterday. Brilliant Irish on the brink. It kind of depends on who you read this morning, because obviously the Telegraph's there are different takes on it, and listening to all the experts, it seems like it is very much still very much in the balance, this game.
The Irish Times lead this morning with Jackie Tyrrell's column, "Limiting Foley's influence, key to success for Tip." A lot of good stuff in this. He really hates losing semi-finals, Jackie Tyrrell. I don't think I've ever seen somebody who hates something as much as losing anything as Tyrrell hates losing semi-finals. He says, "I always felt All-Ireland semi-finals were like when you were a young teenager, full of life and mischief, as you walked up to a nightclub door and approached the bouncers, bursting with excitement about how the night would unfold. Suddenly, the large hand of the bouncer would be shoved in your face at the door. 'Not tonight, son.' Disaster." So he writes a couple of paragraphs about not getting let into nightclubs, and then proceeds to make another comparison between semi-finals and how losing them is the worst thing ever. "But a semi-final defeat is just oblivion, neither here nor there. It's the friend zone. You don't want to be in the friend zone." Doesn't like losing semis, so that's what's going to greet two of the teams this weekend. Yeah. The friend zone.
The Herald, Mick Parrott needs games, so this is just more reflections on that. Mick McCarthy obviously out in front of the press yesterday, John Brennan and Dan MacDonald writing there that he could be about to get his opportunity, obviously the 17-year-old with Ireland, and also reflections too on Shamrock Rovers 2, Limassol 1 in Tala last night. Avoiding injury in Oma is priority, writes Kieran Whelan.
He's not wrong.
Inside.
The Racing Post leads with a picture of a thermometer. It's at Sandown, 38 degrees Celsius. Mercury rising is the headline there. And Southwell called off as Britain swelters. The back page of the Racing Post then is looking to land a blow. Mikel can make his mark in the mountains. Mikel Landa, perhaps one of the challengers to Julian Alaphilippe in the Tour de France.
Leach puts batsman to shame. This is the unlikely story in the Times of Jack Leach, who was the night watchman number 11 ordinarily in the order, and came out to hit a 92. Got the nervous 90s, he was saying after his innings, that just got inside of that 100 and was like, interesting story of a guy who has had an interesting enough path to that position, seems to know that he's not necessarily the world's greatest batsman in the world, and that what he achieved yesterday was pretty unusual as well. So, I mean, fair play to him, obviously, but from an Irish point of view, it's unfortunate that he picked that moment to knock his best innings in an English shirt, but we shall see which side he ends up on. Spurs sorry for Sissoko stamp. This was Sissoko stamping on Daniel James' chest. I saw a photograph of it. It certainly didn't look pretty, but sometimes a photograph can do.
No, I saw it.
Did you see the actual
the video? Yeah, right. It's horrific.
Awful.
For a pre-season game.
Yeah, needless.
Really needless. Like, I'm pretty sure he had the ball at his feet and he had turned away from the challenge.
Right.
He left that foot lingering and stamped it down a little bit further as well. A bizarre thing to see in a pre-season match. The back page of The Guardian was home hopes heat up, Leach falls in nervous 90s, but ignites England's revival. And their angle on the Tour de France is Tour tactics meltdown, Team Ineos tensions exposed after Thomas and Bernal help Alaphilippe increase his lead. They've obviously had to deal with this in the past. It was an incredible day yesterday when Froome and Bradley Wiggins fell out with each other a couple of years ago over team tactics. Something similar may be happening in Team Ineos, of course, the former Team Sky, after a bizarre set of circumstances yesterday where Egan Bernal had broken away from the peloton and Geraint Thomas's job was just to hang back, hold everybody back. He's like, nah, screw this, I'm going to go as well. Not doing his teammates any help whatsoever. So I'd imagine they were furious with him last night. But of course, Dave Brailsford is like a duck on water, kind of serene, and doesn't really react to anything like that when asked by reporters afterwards.
Yeah, he's used to dealing with sticky situations, so like a question like that is...
Few of them, yeah. I think when it comes to team tensions, bread and butter.
Easy stuff. Right, back page of As. Meanwhile, just to give you a bit of flavour of what's happening here, Derby made in USA. I can't read the small print there on. I don't know if you've got any...
Madrid y Atleti disputan on New Jersey su primer duelo fuera de Europa.
Right, the two of them are playing in America, that's grand. I mean, yeah, okay. Is that it, Tommy? Is that way? That's us on the papers this morning. Yeah, right, that's it on the papers this morning. One comment in here from Leslie Robinson who says, lads, I don't think I've heard Owen Sheehan have so much funny talk about Kerry like he did this morning about cricket. Hope it happens for us, Owen.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lot of people under the impression that you're not really that worried one way or the other.
About the cricket?
Yeah.
I take that
I'm just trying to summarise and reflect best what the viewpoints from the listeners that have viewers and listeners that have been sent.
Of course I care what happens in the cricket. Like, I mean, do I watch county cricket week in, week out? No. Have I got on the Irish bandwagon this week? Yes. Without question. But just because you're a bandwagoner doesn't mean you can't enjoy it. I would say I speak for a lot of people this week saying we're bandwagoners, and I'm proud of it. Will I be watching Ireland's next test? Yes. So perhaps it's not going to be a bandwagon thing. For sure.
Who's up next?
We haven't got it to the next test, I don't think.
Not pencil in yet.
I'm not sure.
The calendar.
But I've got a blank calendar. Pencil me in for any particular dates.
It's a great thing to go to. I went to England, New Zealand, like I'd say it's maybe 15 years ago now, and I had no idea sort of what to expect or what would happen. But it is an unbelievable day out, like incredible day out. I just went to one day of a test, and it was just an absolutely cracking day out. And it's largely nothing very much to do with like what's going on out in the field. It's a lot to do with obviously having a couple of drinks, and there was a huge amount of banter between the crowd and the various players who would be like the lads who were out deep in the field would be out signing autographs and taking selfies, and just a great day out.
And have you gone to one since 15 years ago?
No.
Jeez, it must have left a lasting impact.
No, but I mean, I was at that point. That test was up the road for me, whereas actually, obviously, it's been difficult to get to tests in Ireland.
Because you lived in New Zealand, obviously.
At any point. I was there for a while, yeah.
Were you devastated with their World Cup defeat?
Absolutely gutted, yeah.
Like they are, would they have been your number one cricket team? Like at test level, obviously, until 2 years ago.
They were on, absolutely. Right. Head and shoulders, yeah. I had no great affiliation for them one way or the other, I have to say. The Black Caps. Yeah,
well, let's hope that Ireland gets a test against New Zealand eventually at some point in the sport.
And then my sort of loyalties will be pulled one way and the other. Is that what you're saying?
Potentially, yeah. I don't think, like, I'm sure even people who haven't been watching it this week would be able to appreciate what could potentially happen here. Now, granted, I'm a little bit reluctant to say and get carried away with actually analysing a moment that just has not occurred yet. Maybe it'll hit me then when Ireland actually are walking off laurels with a test win against England. Yeah. It'll be like, okay, now I get it. This is as good as it gets for an Irish sporting moment. Like, part of this argument here is based in a completely hypothetical situation. Ireland have had their batting troubles as well. They need to go out and put up a relatively good score, you would imagine, unless this morning is extraordinary from England with only one wicket remaining. So I don't know. Of course I appreciate how big this is, but I think even people
it sounds like when you're explaining something so deeply, when you're explaining you're losing sort of thing.
Not really. I think that I'm saying that this is a huge moment. Like, you sort of painted this picture that I don't give a shit about what this achievement is, just because I don't think it's the biggest Irish sporting moment of all time.
I'm just sort of trying to summarise whatever people that have been in contact with on. Let's keep everything in context here. I think we'll ask Niall.
That's exactly what I'm doing. Let's keep everything in context here when it comes to Irish sporting moments.
Let's ask Niall O'Brien when he comes on after 9 o'clock or thereabouts to expand further on his thoughts about this possibly being the greatest Irish sporting moment of all time. So we'll ask him to do that when he's with us. It is just after 2 minutes past 8 on